3 Scary True Security Guard Horror Stories Story 1. The man in the basement. I've been a security guard for over 15 years, and I've seen some things that never left me. But there is one night I'll never forget, because sometimes I wonder if I was supposed to walk out of there alive. It was 2012, and I had just taken a contract for an old hotel in the city that had shut down after a fire in one of the upper floors. The building was condemned, but the owners kept security on site because homeless people and squatters kept breaking in. I was stationed there overnight, 10 p. to 6 a.m., with nothing but a flashlight, a radio, and my notebook. The hotel was a monster of a place 7 floors tall, grand in its day, but now a corpse of its former self. The smell of mildew, smoke, and rot followed me everywhere. The elevators didn't work, so if I needed to patrol the upper floors, I took the stairwells. But what really unsettled me was the basement. There was a boiler room, storage closets, and a laundry area down there. The air was different, thicker, damper, and colder, even in summer. I used to tell myself I hated going down there because of the smell and rats. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. Round 1 a.m. that night, I was doing a patrol when I heard a sound echoing up from the basement stairwell. A dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled across concrete. I froze. Probably just a rat dragging a bag or trash, I muttered to myself. But then it came again. Drag, pause, drag. The sound of weight. Deliberate. I clicked on my radio. Control. This is God 6. Just checking any workers scheduled tonight. Static. Then, negative. Guard 6. You're the only one there until 6. My gut told me to just log it in the notebook and avoid the basement. But protocol said I had to check it out. So, down the creaking metal stairs I went. The basement was worse than I remembered. Rows of shadows from busted light fixtures, long hallways lined with peeling paint. I swept my flashlight across the walls and floor, trying to catch movement. Nothing. "Hello," I called. My voice echoed, bouncing down the corridor. Silence. Then the dragging sound again, closer this time. My light flickered over the laundry room door. It was open just an inch. Swaying as though someone had nudged it, I felt my chest tighten. Sweat dripping down my spine. I pushed it open with my foot. Inside, everything was covered in dust except for one thing: a wooden chair in the middle of the room. On it sat a figure. At first I thought it was just a mannequin left behind. Its posture was stiff, its head slumped forward. But then it lifted its head, a man. Pale, gaunt, his eyes huge and glassy in the beam of my flashlight. His lips curled into something between a smile and a grimace. "You're late," he whispered. I stumbled backward, nearly dropping the flashlight. "Who the hell are you? This building is condemned. You need to leave now." The man didn't move from the chair. He tilted his head like a curious dog, then said, louder this time, "You're late." That's when I realized he wasn't sitting in the chair. He was tied to it. His wrists were bound with rope so tight the skin looked raw. My stomach dropped. "Jesus Christ," I muttered, fumbling for my radio. "Control. I need immediate." The radio cut to static. The man started to laugh. A horrible, dry, rattling sound. "They won't hear you," he said. Then before my eyes he jerked forward violently, the ropes snapping like old twine. His body hit the floor with a sickening thud, and he started crawling toward me. His knees bent wrong, his arms dragged stiffly, his head hanging low as if his neck couldn't hold it. I turned and bolted up the stairs, my boots pounding against metal. heart screaming in my chest. I didn't stop until I was outside the building, gulping fresh air, my hands shaking uncontrollably. By dawn, when the relief guard showed up, I refused to go back inside. I quit the contract that morning. 2 weeks later, the hotel was torn down. But I never told anyone about that night except you, and sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still hear it, that dragging sound. Drag, pause, drag, like something crawling up behind me. Story 2. The hospital morgue. I used to work night shifts at a hospital. People assume hospitals are busy around the clock, but they don't see the long, hollow hours after midnight when the halls empty out and the lights dim to save power. That's when the silence sets in heavy, and natural silence. My post was in the West Wing, near the morgue. Nobody ever wanted that assignment, but I didn't mind at first. The pay was decent, and I told myself the dead were easier to deal with than the living. The morgue was kept locked at all times, with one heavy steel door. My job was to check the perimeter, make sure no one unauthorized entered. Sometimes I'd see a grieving family member trying to slip down after hours. That was easy enough to handle. But one night, I noticed something strange the moment I arrived from my shift. The morgue's hallway was ice cold, far colder than usual. The air felt damp, heavy, like being inside a freezer. My breath fogged when I exhaled. And that shouldn't have been possible. The AC in that wing wasn't even running. I shook it off. Long nights played tricks on you. Round 3 a.m. While making rounds, I passed the morgue door and heard it. Banging, dull, rhythmic thuds from inside. I froze. My radio crackled, but no call came through. My first thought, maybe the staff left someone inside by mistake. Ridiculous. But the sound was too real. I unlocked the door, stepped in with my flashlight raised. The morgue was still. Rows of refrigerated drawers lined the walls, everything exactly as it should be. I swept the light across the room. Empty gurneys, stainless steel counters, silence. But when my beam passed over the drawers, I saw one of the doors was shaking. Subtle at first, then harder, like something or someone inside was trying to get out. Hello, my voice cracked. Is anyone? The banging stopped. For several seconds, I stood frozen, barely breathing. Then I forced myself forward, hands trembling as I reached for the handle. The drawer slid open with a groan of metal. Inside was a body bag. I pulled the zipper down halfway. The man's face was pale, waxy, stitched along the jawline. His eyes were closed. No movement. Just a corpse. Then his eyes snapped open. I stumbled backward, hitting the counter. The dead man's mouth moved. Not like normal speech, more like he was chewing on invisible words, lips twitching soundlessly. Then, in a voice low and broken, he rasped, "Cold. It's so cold." Before I could react, the lights above flickered violently, plunging the morgue into strobe-like flashes. The body sat upright in the drawer, the zipper tearing itself downward as though invisible hands ripped it open. I bolted for the door, but when I grabbed the handle it wouldn't budge. Stuck. Locked, like it had sealed itself from the outside, behind me. I heard multiple drawers sliding open. 1, 2, 3. Metal screeching against metal. Then came the sound of plastic tearing. When I turned, My flashlight caught them 3 corpses climbing out of their drawers, bags sloughing off like discarded skin. Their movements were jerky, unnatural. But their eyes were alive. All 3 fixed on me at once. I slammed my shoulder into the door again and again, until finally it gave way, throwing me into the hallway. I didn't stop running until I reached there, where lights and voices broke the spell. I told the head nurse what I'd seen. She stared at me like I'd gone insane. "Impossible," she said. "The morgue has been empty all night. No new bodies, not since yesterday morning. I demand a G-check." She humored me. We went back together. Every drawer was sealed. Every bag zipped. Not a single sign that anything had moved. But when I passed the drawer ID opened, the one with the stitched-up man, I saw something carved into the metal handle. Something that hadn't been there before. 2 words, scratched deep as if by fingernails. "Stay cold." I quit 2 weeks later. To this day, I still dream of that morgue. In the dream, I'm back in the hallway. I hear the banging, and no matter how far I run, I can't get the door open in time. When I wake up, my bedroom is always freezing. Story 3. The night school watch. I once took a temp job as an overnight guard at an old public high school that was being renovated. The students were gone for the summer, but crews worked during the day, so at night, my job was to patrol and make sure no one broke in or vandalized the place. At first, I thought it would be easy. Schools are familiar, right? Bright hallways, lockers, classrooms. But there's something wrong about a school at 3 a.m. The kind of wrong that gets under your skin. The building groans. Floorboards creak where no one's walking. The trophies in glass cases catch your flashlight like watching eyes on my 3rd night. Round 30 a.m., I heard footsteps echoing down the 2nd floor hall. I thought maybe one of the workers had stayed late, so I called out, "Hey, who's up here?" The footsteps stopped. I walked down the hall, shining my flashlight across lockers and classroom doors. Nothing. The sound had been clear as day, but the hall was empty. I locked it and moved on. But when I came back around 20 minutes later, I saw something I'll never forget. At the far end of the hallway, just under the flickering fluorescent light, a girl stood facing the lockers. She looked maybe 16, her long hair falling over her shoulders. She wore an old-fashioned school uniform plaid skirt. White blouse, not the kind the students wore today. I froze. "Excuse me, are you lost?" I asked. She didn't turn round. I took a step closer, and that's when I noticed her reflection. The lockers were shiny enough to catch it, but in the reflection, she wasn't standing still. She was scratching at the metal with her fingernails. Her face twisted in silent fury. My stomach dropped. When I looked back at her directly, she was gone, but the sound remained. Screech, screech, screech. Fingernails against metal, right behind me. I spun round. The hallway was empty, but when I checked the lockers, long gouges had been carved into the paint 3D lines, as though something had clawed its way down. That was the first night. The 2nd night was worse. I just sat down in the security office round 4 a.m. when the PA system crackled to life. Static hissed through the speakers. Then a faint voice whispered, "Help me." I leapt up, heart pounding. The PA hadn't been connected in years. It wasn't even powered. Yet the voice kept coming, repeating over and over, "Help me, help me. Help me." I followed the sound through the halls until it led me to the gymnasium. The double doors groaned as I pushed them open. Inside, the entire gym was dark except for the faint glow of the scoreboard. It flickered numbers like it was mid-game, though no one had touched the power in weeks. And standing at center court was the girl. She was facing away again, hair covering her face. This time, though, I could hear her voice without the speakers. A thin, trembling whisper. "Help me. Get out." He locked me in. I wanted to run. Every instinct told me to, but my legs carried me forward. "Who locked you in?" I asked. My voice echoed across the empty gym. Slowly, she turned. Her face was wrong pale and sunken, eyes too wide, mouth sewn shut with black stitches. She raised her hands, palms outward, and I saw the bloody gouge where she'd clawed until her nails tore away. Then the doors behind me slammed shut. The scoreboard blazed to life with a deafening buzz, the numbers racing upward as if counting something down. And the girl screamed without opening her mouth. The stitches split, tearing her lips wide, black fluid pouring out as she rushed toward me faster than anyone should move. I hit the doors with all my weight, burst out into the hall, and didn't stop running until I was outside. I never went back for my final shift. I didn't even collect my paycheck. A week later, I learned something from one of the renovation workers. Years ago, back in the 1970s, a student had gone missing from the school. A girl, 16 years old. Rumor was she'd been locked inside by a janitor who didn't want to be caught sneaking her in after hours. By the time anyone found her, she was dead. The janitor was never charged. No one could prove anything. But the workers swore that sometimes, when they left tools out in the hall, they'd come back to find deep scratches in the lockers. Always in sets of 3. I don't work schools anymore. But sometimes, when I drive past one late at night, I catch a glimpse of her in the window still scratching, still waiting to get out.